United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for some rain that's helping to put some water into the reservoirs and into this area. That's cleaning up the area. We thank you, Father, that tonight the council can meet and take care of the business of the city. We thank you for your wisdom, your understanding, and your guidance at this meeting. We thank you and we praise you, Father, for this assistance in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, Christine, could we have the roll call, please? And this is for both. This is for the Council and Redevelopment Agency.
Councilmember Director Schultz.
Here.
Councilmember Director Cabrera.
Here.
Councilmember Director Alvarez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Member Clark.
Now, we're going to go ask for an items not on the agenda. Then you get up and you give your name and address, and then you can speak. Okay, now. There was no one. That you can do it now. You can do it now. No one got up before, so now items not on the agenda. Same rules apply. Give your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Jerry D. Baker. I'm here with my mother-in-law. She lives at 12452 East 221st Street here in Wine Gardens. And the deal is on her parking of her vehicle in front of her house, on her graveled parking area, which whoever that guy is, let's see what the little fellow's name is, Tebbets, says she can't. She has to stay on the driveway only. Can't park anything anywhere else except on the driveway. For what reason, I don't know. But she's been parking in the same spot for about 40 years, and now this guy comes along and says she can't park there anymore. She's 83 years old. She likes to watch her car with the kids stealing the gas out of the thing and such as that. And it all started over some woman run into her garage, right up her driveway, smashed 8 foot into the garage. Call the insurance company, they fix it. While they're fixing it, we move the vehicles over on the grass. This guy comes along, takes pictures of it, and says there's disabled vehicles. You can see right by looking at them, no flat tires, everything's clean, everything's registered. All we were doing was moving out of the way. He says no matter when, as soon as they stop, that he wants those vehicles moved off of that grass, as soon as the construction stops, I don't want to move them every 15 minutes. I don't know when they come by and took the pictures or anything about it. But then he says that the shrubbery was all weeds and stuff. No weeds in her yard. She has a lawn guy, comes and cleans the place. And it looks real good. I come up here and talk to him, and he gets mouthy. I start raising hell with him. And he says, well, he can, if one thing don't work, he can always cite her for something else. The guy's a real nut.
What is the address on this?
12452 East 221st Street.
12452.
East 221st.
Okay. And they were was there parking on the front lawn?
She'd parked there for all these years. Now it's gravel.
Gravel,
It's pea gravel. He says even if it was concrete, she couldn't park there.
Okay.
I asked him what constitutes a front yard. His first letter said he couldn't park on the grass. So get rid of the grass, put out gravel. Now he can't park in the front yard. He can't seem to make up his mind which section he wants. Then, as we go along, he wants to get it for all different kinds of little things. She had a little lean-to type deal on the front, not a lean-to, a little tent-looking affair, so she could unlock the door and stay out of the rain. Can't have that. Got to tear it down, he says. Now, half the people in Hawaiian Gardens have those things. Nobody else has to tear them down. You know, the guy is ridiculous. He's a pain in the butt.
Okay, sir.
Now, all we want to do is park her car back where it was.
What is her name? The lady's name?
Mrs. Ruth Erickson.
Erickson. They've been in the community a very, very long time, the Ericksons.
Is she what?
She's been in the community a very long time.
Since 1947?
Yes.
Since 1947.
Uh,
And like I say, this guy is really out of hand. You guys got to do something with it.
just
I'd like to suggest that if the gentleman maybe would meet with tomorrow with Mr. Colombo,
Right.
the Community Development Director, in order to address. If you can meet tomorrow, sir, with Mr. Colombo,
Yeah?
this is Mr. Colombo right
Who's
here.
he?
right here.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you
Oh,
can-
yeah, I've seen him before. He was out this
Yeah,
place
if
when
you
they had the
can
place
meet with
knocked
him,
down.
he's Mr. Tehevet's supervisor. He's the director of the program. And if you could come in tomorrow and meet with him, sir, to discuss the issue.
Oh, I think this guy was at the first day I came in, and there was some
Okay.
deal over doing something with the garage that if it was someplace to live in,
Yeah.
wouldn't have to do everything. And I said, well, I think my father-in-law got a permit years ago to change into a bedroom back in the Korean War days.
Okay, why don't you see Mr. Colombo?
pain in the
Your
ass.
3 minutes are up now, and
Okay,
so see
well,
him. see
thanks for
Mr.
listening anyway.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming in. Now.
All we want to do is park the car back where it was.
But sir, please come in tomorrow and meet with Mr. Colombo.
I will.
Thank you, sir.
Sue is going to speak a little bit longer than the 3 minutes, and I hope that the council will let her. Is it fine with you?
Sure.
We'll go ahead,
Thank
Sue.
you.
And
I
we
appreciate that. Sue Underwood, 12424 Fowler Street, and this is something that's very emotional to me. Yesterday, I went to the funeral of the latest victim of gang violence in this area, and that was Tommy Bess. And Tommy is very well known here in the city because his father and mother basically started the Pop Warner football for our community years ago when they felt that the children here needed something that their children had a privilege of having in Lakewood. And they came over and they gave long hours to it, and Tommy and his brother Robert gave long hours to it also. Tommy had turned 21 on January 16th, and he died on January 19th, and he was murdered. A car was stolen by an Artesia gang member, and deliberately rammed him until the car tipped over. Tommy was killed instantly, and his brother Robert was severely injured. Tommy may have belonged to gangs at one time. I don't know. But for the last 2 years, he's been a member of our church. He gave his life to the Lord, and I know right where he is tonight, and I praise God for that. Yesterday at the funeral, there were over 600 people in our church, a lot of them from Hawaiian Gardens, and a lot of them were gang members. And the message was given to them that retaliation is not where it's at, and because that's already been talked about. And I know it'd be our gang members going after Artesia because Robert and his family were affiliated with our people. One of his cousins got up and gave, bless her heart, little 16, maybe 15-year-old girl got up and looked out at that audience and says, which one of you is going to be next? Which one of you are we going to bury next? And Tommy's aunt wrote something, and I'd like to read it to the council because it's very profound, and I think it says how we all feel, because I don't believe there's one of us sitting here probably tonight that doesn't know someone personally who has lost someone to gang violence. Tommy's not the first, and he won't be the last. But his aunt wrote this. It says, please stop the madness. How many mothers and fathers, while their hearts are breaking, must lower their children into the ground before you will stop this madness? How many grandmothers and grandfathers must you see on bent knee, tears spilling, while they contemplate that their grandchild will never experience the joyous life of 60 or 80 years that they have lived before you will stop this madness? How many 5-year-old cousins, brothers, or sisters will have to ask their mommies and daddies, what is Dad, or when will they come back, before you will stop this madness? How many strangers will now be affected by the memorials and shrines in front of their homes because a senseless tragedy occurred there, before you will stop this madness? How many 13-year-old brothers will have to worry that they have already lost one and will probably lose more before you will stop this madness? How many innocents must die before you will stop this madness? If God hasn't yet given you the courage or strength to stop it, may he at least give you the wisdom to distance your madness from the innocent, so that they too will not have to shed their blood for the madness you choose to live. There is a lesson in this. Please take it, for if you can't or you won't, then Thomas died for nothing. We, as the senior residents of Hawaiian Gardens, need to stop this madness. I don't have a cure-all, but I was told Sunday, and I was told again yesterday, there are many, many gang members in our community that want out and don't know how to go because there's nothing to go to. I don't know if we can get an organization together and try to help these people. We have Ernie with gang prevention. We need gang intervention. We need to talk to these people and let them understand that we care about them, that they're not just the scum of the earth. We care about them. And I talked to one person, I'm going to bring her name up, I'm not being political, please don't even think that, but Petra Prida has been working with gang members, and I believe some other people in the city have too, to try to turn some of the girls around, get them back into school, get them to stop the things they're doing. And the one thing that she told me, the guys want to stop, but most of them have no job skills. They have no future. They're felons. They can't hold a job. They can't get a job. They have no cars, so they can't drive a distance to hold down a job. And I know Mr. Lopez is really great on grants, and I'm just asking if there's some way we can form a committee or form some type of an organization and not just meet and talk. Meeting and talking doesn't do it. We need to meet with the people, with the guys in the gangs, because that's how we stop the madness. If we can turn around the top people, they will turn around their children. A child born into a family of gang members will become a gang member, and we know this. A few years ago, all the violence stopped in Lakewood, Artesia, Hawaiian Gardens, Norwalk. It was great. It wasn't from anything anybody did. The Mexican mafia from jail told them to knock it off because it was cutting in on their drug deals, and they weren't getting the money. Now that is sad when people in jail still have control over the people in the cities when we live here and we have no control. I don't know if there's any grants out there to get job training going. I don't know, but I want us to try. One thing that Pearl Hawkins asked 2 years ago was a candlelight vigil for her son who was murdered because he was the wrong color. And for all I imagine we could have over 100 people just from the city who have lost loved ones to gang violence. But we never did the vigil because it just got kind of kicked by the wayside and never got done. We have to try to stop this madness, because when I sat there and buried Tommy yesterday, he was an innocent yesterday. He might have been a gang member 5 years ago, but he was an innocent yesterday. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. 2 nights before, we had 5 shot at over in Violetta. I wonder if they carry their wounds as badges of courage. They shouldn't. They should carry them as badges of shame. I believe that every gang member that uses a car or a gun is a coward. It doesn't take any courage to go up and shoot somebody and race off. It would take courage to sit one-on-one at a conference table and discuss your problems. It would take courage to get into a boxing ring one-on-one and duke it out. But they don't do it. That's why they're called gangs. But I'm imploring our council, our staff, the lay people, the clergy of this community, we need to band together and stop this madness in any way we possibly can, because Tommy is not going to be dead in vain. If we have anything to say about it at the church, if we have anything to say about it, if I have anything to say about it, Tommy's life was fruitful, and in death is going to be fruitful also. And I just ask that you will help me. I'm willing to work in any capacity that I can to stop this madness. I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you, Sue. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Items not on the agenda.
Leonard Chitis, 12317 East 222nd Street, Unit B. Just wanted to talk about a little bit about more of the budget situation. I know that that the budget situation is pretty sad. I know that we talked about it last week. There still seems to be no clear-cut answers. Certainly, when your manager came up here and started explaining what was going on, and it was quite funny. The basic criticism I have of that is that we still don't have any concise answers from the council concerning what's happening with the taxpayers' money. I don't know why we're closing in on February, haven't closed out the books for last July. I understand at the time that somebody turned around and said that the books were in bad shape. Maybe you need to call Jack Simpson to find out what happened. Maybe you need to talk to Denise. You hired her for nearly a year and a half to try to straighten out those books, and they're still not together, I guess. I don't know what's happening, but, gang, this is ridiculous. We've had people here taking care of the place who are, quote, the real city administrators and the real people dealing with it, and we still don't have it together. Last year, your audit came in late. You got fined for it. You got fined for the redevelopment agency $5,000 for it. I requested information about that in writing and got some of the information. I'm still waiting for my last 5 final checks for fiscal year 97, which have been promised to me by 2 staff members I've yet to get. So we don't believe that we're going to really get any kind of information, even if we put it in writing. Okay? I'm still waiting for those 5 checks. That request was in writing in September. Yeah, it is January 26th. But whatever Michael was saying, I still don't understand why the books aren't closed out. It's supposed to be closed out probably around September or something for the end of the fiscal year, and as of July 30th, June 30th. July 1 is your first start, and you should have had those books closed. Your audit should take place around September or October. Still hasn't been done, from what I understand. Is that true?
Excuse me.
We still don't have it done. So I don't know what's going on here and why it's taken you a whole more than half a year to get your stuff together financially. Don't understand it, but I got to hand it to you guys.
Leonard, your time is up.
I got to give a pair of boots to Michael because, he's wading in it big time.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Items not on the agenda?
John Heckerman, 12550 East Carson Street, space number 2. Just to follow on a little bit with what Mr. Chidas was just saying, we do have a difficult situation here that the people should be able to know what the income of the city is and what the outlay is. And these are questions not coming up only at election time, as was stated at the last council meeting, that this is election time and people are just raising Cain and what have you. No, this is not the case. Yes, it's election time again. And it's time for the people to understand that these are still things that are not addressed. We've been asking all year long, in different ways, about a budget for the city, about the income for the city, so on and so forth. We, as the citizens of this community, have a right to know these things, have a right to know where we stand financially, what our income is, and so on and so forth. That is public information. We should be entitled to it. It should be disseminated to the people through either Channel 36, our public access channel, through a paper, a flyer, whatever means to get the information out to the people to let them know where we stand economically for the city. The city is a business. We need to begin running it as a business. And I don't see that being done up to this point because we're still having problems closing books and so on and so forth. That means there must be one heck of a mess with those computers. Because my understanding of computers is that it's giggle, garbage in, garbage out. If you put the proper information in, you're going to get the proper information back from it. As far as income for the city, income comes in from the state for taxes, for license fees, so on and so forth. That's a given every year. There may be a little bit of a difference in the amount coming in, but it's basically the same year after year since we have approximately 14,000 souls living in this city. Of those, I would say probably 2/3 of those are taxpayers. They pay taxes on the goods they buy. That goes to the state. Then in return comes back to this city in the form of taxes. We should know what that amount is. It should be easily readily available. The same is true for your taxes, for your license fees, and so on and so forth. All of these should be readily available and on that computer and just at a tap of a key be able to bring it up. So I would really appreciate if we could get this straightened out and stop all this nonsense and not have this dissension going on about where we stand so that people could honestly know where we are financially. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else wishing to speak? Well, I'm happy to report to you that pretty quick here. What, next Monday or Tuesday we'll have that report.
Well, I need to qualify that.
Yes, qualified. Okay. It's a draft. It's an outline of what's
On
happening.
Monday, the mayor and council will be getting the. My time's up. Anyway, on Monday, you all will be getting a copy of what's being proposed by the staff department heads in regards to the general fund. So that'll be the first step in regards to working towards the budget. That'll also be available here at the counter, and we'll put a copy also at the library. So we'll start that process. Mayor, I was wondering maybe, going back to what Sue was indicating, if there's a way of, if I can have consent, or maybe if we can do the gang violence vigil. I think that would be a good start, an excellent start that she brought up, because it's a way that maybe a number of people who are affiliated with the gangs, maybe bringing them together with one common cause.
Sue, would you want to organize something like that, and we'll help you as far as the city, or what?
I need help too. I don't know anything about how to go about it, but I can get with Petra. I'm sure she'll help me, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, because we're.
And I'm not using her politically.
No.
She's working with the girls right now, and she knows the people, and I'm sure Leonard knows people and things that, because those are the ones we need to get involved, and if they're doing, Placido, I'm sure he can help with that, because he knows people, because that's what we need. We need people that know everybody, that people are willing to talk to.
We want to help the community, but we don't want to make it a political thing either.
Exactly, that's
No.
what I'm saying. It's not political. That's why anybody that wants to help, because I don't know how to do anything like this, but I'm willing to be a part of it. So let me.
As far as a vigil now, you think that would be appropriate now? I mean, we are working on trying to get grants, for training.
Right.
And in fact, we had a meeting here last week at the what do we call it? The Unity for the community at the for the food bank, and we did have a young man there that was a former gang member, and he expressed the same thing that you were saying, that he was out of the gangs, he wanted a job, but he needed training. So we're working on that. We're trying to get help in that way.
We've also made if you recall, Mayor, and Alan, you were there, and Luca was there also. There was a gentleman from probation department that made us aware that they have, he's got access to where people, even though they committed felony, there's an availability of securing jobs also. And so we made him aware about maybe providing a space for him to meet with individuals and maybe look into that. So as far as getting them into the work field, helping them get in the work field, even though they have a pass in regards to a felony. So there is an avenue that's being worked on also.
On the vigil, maybe Ernie Vargas could work on that. You know, Ernie is, he's up on how the guys feel.
Placido and I were going to work on it, or Placido was going to work on it, and it just never happened.
Yeah, that was when Father Wright, remember they went to that, had that conference that he was not around. That was supposed to take place, and it didn't happen. And I know what you're saying. It's very tiresome at times to get things organized, and then at the end, it works out something different. But we should take advantage of all these nonprofit organizations. I get disappointed when some of these organizations use our statistics to get funding from the state, and when it comes down to service, they forget about us. I still know for a fact that there's agencies out there that used our statistics to get federal grants, money for gang prevention, early intervention, and a number of things, and at the end, we don't see them anymore. Why couldn't we ask for all these organizations to get together and do that? Because that is not political, and that's something that they are supposed to be servicing this community. I agree with you. I grew up in this community. I know, all probably the parents of these gang members and some of these gang members. I had an incident the other night where 3 kids pretty much told me where to go. And I was disappointed, and I stayed and chatted with them for a while, and my wife says, it's very dangerous, but I was hoping to send a message to them, say, hey, you're going the wrong way, rather than to be angry at them. But, there's different organizations that can help, and we should use them, and we should have it, where, anything to save 1 or 2 or 3 lives or more if possible. We have to do that. But I know that Ernie, he's been doing a great job, and I really commend him because he's pretty much a neutral person that's been doing, a great job with a lot of the kids here. And why couldn't he?
We'll set up an organizational meeting for this purpose and invite anybody and everyone that wants to come.
Right.
And like Lucy just suggested about using other cities who currently have the programs to help also in the guidance of these programs. Okay.
No, we're not gonna forget Thomas Best.
My name is Petra Frida, and I live at 12518 East 121st Street. And I'd like to say something about the gangs, the homeboys. We, you, me, or anybody can do anything about this situation without the help of the parole officers. The parole officers are the ones that, at least one of us should be on the committee. Okay, without their help, we can do nothing because they are the ones that know all the parolees. And they have access to a place where they can work. But the impression that I get from the probation department, they're not interested in helping. They've had these programs for a long time, and the majority of the guys out there don't know anything about a job placement. They don't. Maybe a couple of the parole officers might tell them or find them a job, a few guys. But the rest of them, they're not interested in helping the guys in the community. All they think about is they test them, they find them dirty, and they go back to jail. So they spend time in jail a year for parole violation. That's not helping nothing. They come out and back to the same thing. They need to rehabilitate, not detox. I didn't know the difference between detox and rehabilitation, but I found out that there's a great difference. They put them in jail and they clean them up and they throw them out back on the streets and they come back to the same thing. Okay, they need to be rehabilitated. That's what they need. And they need the help of the parole office. If we cannot get them to come out here and help and talk to the guys, then it'll be impossible for anybody to be able to reach the guys. They can help. We have to talk to the parole office or somebody from there to help us out. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
That's why I was.
That is the truth. That is the impression that I get.
Yeah.
To me, the parole officers, they test the guys, they're dirty, back to jail.
And this is
Violation of
why
parole.
We should look into having somebody here, making space for them. Que
Exactly.
están trabajando y conocen la gente. They're
That's
working with the
right.
people and get to know them.
And that's right.
So,
They are the ones that can help.
Aren't
If we can get them to help us, then there will be something that we can do about the situation.
Tony, isn't there something to try to work out to get a probation officer?
no, we already started on Thursday night.
Right.
The gentleman has showed up and made us aware that he was a probation officer and also that he did have access. So I've already invited him about getting together for the purpose about establishing an office, making room for him somewhere here in the city. So that way, if we can bring them into, as they say, into our territory, you know.
I'd like for you to also, if you could, not a direction, I mean, if you could try to meet with the Private Industry Council. I see there's lavish office, real nice offices, but, I know their staff can probably, one of their staff members can come over here and maybe work out of Hawaiian Gardens for a while. Whether it be for training, job placement, resume write-ups, anything that can help our kids to get a job, anything can help them kind of direct them, because they do have quite a bit of number of staff, and I believe that part of that money is a lot of it from the city that is being.
On Monday, the mayor and I met with a lady from Cerritos Community College, and she works for the job placement office.
Okay.
And at that time, it was requested of her if she or somebody from the community college would come over here and do a training on interviewing, resumes, and so forth. So she's looking into putting that program together. So that's already been addressed also in regards to, because a lot of people really, when it comes to the interview process or the resumes, it's a foreign substance.
Well,
It really is.
The person that directed me towards that was Tony Gutierrez, Cerritos College. He was a recruit for the college. He came and approached me, and I would have never known about college if it hadn't been for this person. And I give credit also my parents, kind of kicked me out the door and said, "You're going." But at the same time, a lot of them is just that first step. And once you take that first step, it seems like you can make it and graduate. And it's amazing. I managed to go to Long Beach State also, but it's just starting somewhere. And once you start, it's easier to continue. But that's what we need. Some of these kids, they're very bright, they're hardworking, but they don't have a chance. They are kind of pushed aside because of their background, but there has to be some direction.
At this point, we're meeting with a lot of people, and we're applying for a lot of grants. And the Private Industry Council, the PIC, is also applying for a grant, which is going to help Hawaiian Gardens. But we do have applications for
I would like
3
to
or
see-
4 different grants, and big grants.
Well, I'd like to see that money come back here. Or
Right.
People come over here. I don't
We're
care,
gonna make sure that it comes back
It
here.
doesn't matter if they get the grant and it goes to place in Cerritos. And I'm nothing against Cerritos.
No.
But I know there's a meeting taking place there. I don't know if it's this coming Friday or there's a meeting for some money that's coming in. And I'm not saying Cerritos doesn't need the money, or maybe I know they got 200 million reserves, or money that's extra. But give us a $500,000, to start. But what I'm saying is,
No.
I like to see it here.
We're going to make sure that it stays here.
Stays here.
If it qualifies because of Hawaiian Gardens,
Yes.
then it's going to stay here. We're going to make
Or even write a
sure.
letter to our state representatives that
Right.
anytime a grant gets placed on their desks, for us to approve it, okay, or else they get no money. I mean, anybody out there.
No. We're aware of the problem that was before. Now, we're not going to let that happen anymore.
Right.
Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, then we'll go on to item A is a public hearing. A1 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Hawaiian Gardens, approving the city's 1999 to year 2000 Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, and budget. Tony, you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to call him Joe at this time, Mr. Colombo.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, the Los Angeles County Community Development Commission again has notified the city that it will be receiving $313,274 in CDBG grant funds that the city will get to reallocate for the 1999 year 2000 program year. In addition, the city will be getting an additional $317,162 of unexpended CDBG funds from prior years, which would bring it a total of $630,500 $436 of funds that will be allocated for the 1999 and year 2000 program year. Staff is recommending that the funds be allocated in the following manner. Housing rehabilitation, $265,000. Code enforcement program, $110,000. Weed tip program, $1,000. Neighborhood beautification, $22,940. Alternatives to gang membership program, $20,000. Fair housing program, $3,050. And general administration, $31,320. These programs that I've just outlined basically are the same programs that we currently fund right now at slightly different levels, but substantially at the same amount of dollars. What we're proposing to do with the additional funds that are being reallocated, primarily public works projects related to City Hall public facility improvements. And that would be $15,000 for the Helen Rosa Center automatic door project, $36,880 for the Helen Rosa Center playground equipment renovation project, Leeward Park playground renovation project at $36,800, Clarkdale Park playground renovation project $33,075, Pioneer Park playground renovation project $35,460, C. Robert Lee racquetball court renovation project $13,000, and a contingency of $6,911. Most of these projects for the public facilities improvement program involve in making the facilities up to code with ADA, American Disabilities Act. Staff recommends that you conduct a public hearing, wait for the reading, and adopt resolution number 9-99.
Is there any questions before we open up the public hearing?
Just real quick, on some of this money, Joe, the Clarkville Playground renovation project, what type of things do you kind of see that would take place?
Which particular one is that?
That's the $33,075 for Clarkdale Park Playground renovation project.
Mainly handicap accessibility, playground equipment, and surface that would bring the site to ADA standards.
So this is just to bring it up to standards?
Compliance.
Right.
Compliance.
These are state mandated.
Okay. So no extra money to, like, what I see in some areas that instead of putting like fences or brick walls, that they put a wall, but then they put a rubbish, like a plant that pretty much covers it, so you can't really write graffiti, and it still looks pretty nice with the greenery in front of it.
We'll try to improve the park as best as we can with the funds that we have, but the council at their pleasure can allocate these funds in any way at their pleasure. But the unallocated funds, staff is recommending that we utilize them to bring the parks to code that are state mandated by ADA and utilizing CDBG funds at this time.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have some concerns about how the money is being allocated, and I don't know if it would be appropriate to address it now or wait for the public to put in their comment and then address it then.
It's the public first.
It's public first, yeah, then we, okay,
Just-
at this
just
time I'll call the.
Just clarify
Oh,
one
okay.
more thing. The public facilities improvement projects, that'll be administered by Paul Hogan, who is a specialist in that area.
Okay. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please give your name and address for the record.
Metritis, 12317 East 222nd Street, Unit B. Just wanted to comment on the ADA requirements. Is that to eliminate the surface where the sand is right now presently, and maybe a rubber cushion? Is that what it is? Yeah. Very good. I think that's a very, very smart thing to do. I know we had made an attempt to do that before, and we ran out of funds. And it's a very important thing. Also, it improves the safety for our children. What happens is a lot of glass gets broken up into the sand. We're out constantly sifting sand for the broken glass. So hats off to staff, good job. I think that's something that we really need. The rehabbing of the playgrounds is something that we really need. rehabbing our facilities is one thing, but it's going to be kind of tough if you don't have anybody to man them. So we maybe want to think about what's going to happen when you get them fixed. Okay, but I think the playgrounds with the rubber surface is the most positive thing that can happen for the city, and I think that it's high time that we had it done, and that part is something that I'm very concerned with. Always been concerned with. We don't have the staff to sift sand, but at least we have it easier to clean off now. I want to thank you for it.
Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a
I'll
second?
move to close the public hearing.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carried. Discussion.
Okay, I went over this proposal last night and today, and basically, you proposed spending $265,000 out of the $630,000 on housing rehab. That's 42% of that money. And certainly there is a need for housing rehab in the city. But there's also a great need to get the city to continue cleaning up the city. And this figure of $22,940 is only 3.6% of that money. And I think I've seen this figure before, this $22,940. So it doesn't seem like there's any kind of real substantial money being allocated towards getting the city cleaned up. And one of my first concerns is with this housing rehab program, what is the maximum amount of money that an individual family or person could get to fix up their property?
Right off the top of my head, I don't recall what the actual limits are. We haven't done these rehabs in a while, but I believe the guidelines were written where they could get up to a $5,000 grant, plus a rebate, I believe, of up to $3,500, and a deferred loan up to $25,000. I'm 99% sure of those numbers. In terms of I believe you were talking about the neighborhood beautification program, that we had only allocated $22,940. The reason being is because the WETIP program, the neighborhood beautification program, the alternatives to gang membership program, and the fair housing program all fall under the public service requirement of a 15% cap. Those programs total to $46,990, which is 15% of $313,000.
There is a cap where there used to
So there's
be.
a cap we cannot exceed.
Can't exceed.
The neighbor,
If I may also, one of the things, one of the advantages by having housing rehab, especially the housing rehab specialist, is the city can also work on securing home program monies. And with home program monies, there's quite a bit of monies that have not, the city has not been able to go after. Home program monies, I've seen people secure home monies to the point that it's supposed to be for rehab, but rehab to the point that the whole house was replaced. And those are funds also that could be made available to the city, but Mr. Colombo needs those personnel, and that's why in regards to the housing rehab specialist.
historically, the housing rehab component of the CDBG program has always been a substantial part of the total allocation, and I think you're familiar with the status of the CDBG housing rehab program at this point in time without having a body doing that project.
So basically, you're saying it's impossible to spend any more money on neighborhood beautification?
Right, the guidelines don't permit us to put any more money into that program.
But if you look
from a city,
Yeah.
from CDBG, if the city had
You can get it
funds
from other places.
Yeah, but
or
if you-
redevelopment funds,
House,
Then it would
okay,
be-
a beautification program, if a house is rehabbed and brought up to par, that in itself will serve as towards a beautification neighborhood.
Right, but there's also a little problem. You fix up your house, and then right down the street or down the alley is full of graffiti, it's full of garbage, there's blight, and this is nothing against our public works people, because they're doing the best that they can, but there's a lot of people in the city that are not cooperating. It seems to me that kind of negates the effect. You know, you put in a lot of money to fix up a place, and then right around the corner, it looks pretty bad. And I just think, I drove around today, and like I said, our public works people are doing a great job, but there's a real need out there to continue cleaning up the city. I think it's hurting our property values, and I would really like to see as much money put into that as possible. Today on the news, I guess the city, along with 9 other cities, has joined some kind of a program where residents can buy a home with no down payment. I mean, you can explain that.
I want to talk about that today.
And so, to encourage, that's great. But people, I would think, would be more likely to invest in a very clean neighborhood. And this is not a very clean neighborhood. It's better than it was before, but I travel around quite a bit. I see a lot of different cities, and there's a lot more that needs to be done here. And sometimes I really wonder our priority, if we really are really trying our very best to get the city cleaned up. I've talked to public works people. They're shorthanded. And one of the real problems I have is I've noticed lately, there's a lot of graffiti that it's up there for a long time. It used to be that graffiti went up, we had our guys driving around, that graffiti was covered up. Now it's a cat and mouse game, but the graffiti was covered up right away. I see graffiti now that's been up there for weeks. Obviously, people in the community are not cooperating. I guess I'm not talking bad about public works, but they're probably understaffed and overworked, and they need more help. And I was hoping that with these CDBG funds, we could maybe double the amount of money in this cleanup programs, bring the dumpsters back on the streets, like we talked about before, which I mentioned before, and maybe really try to put a real dent in that blight out there and get things cleaned up. And I think it goes hand in hand with the code enforcement. I see quite an increase in code enforcement. There's a substantial amount of money going towards code enforcement, a lot more than before. And all I'm asking is to double the amount for the cleanup, another $23,000. And that would only be 7.2% of all that money. And I think certainly with the way that the city looks out there, I think we could make it that much of a priority to allocate 7% of that money towards getting the city more cleaned up. And like I said, public works people, they're doing the best they can, but they're shorthanded, and I think we need to do more.
Mr. Mayor, if I may comment.
Yes.
The increase in the code enforcement would be attributed to, there's not any changes in personnel, but there's higher costs with prosecution as code enforcement is taking on more cases, as well as there's going to be costs incurred both through the code enforcement program and the housing rehabilitation program for the purchase of a copier. We have a copier in the community development department that will no longer be able to be serviced due to its age. But once it breaks down, it will be basically unserviceable. The code enforcement program will continue as is unless the council has other alternatives or suggestions. The only way to increase the neighborhood beautification program, again, you only can utilize 15% of your $313,000.
That's why we have to look for other funds.
The only way to increase neighborhood beautification is to delete programs such as WeTip or alternatives to gang or fair housing.
Well, it's not exactly delete.
Staff does not encourage that and would support the resurrection.
I'm not talking about deleting any programs. I'm talking about reallocating the percentage of the money.
The guidelines don't permit us that. The guidelines these are federal guidelines, and we can't allocate more than 15% towards public service. It used to be 20, and now it's been reduced to 15%.
Could you explain how you determine what percentage of the money is public service? Like, for example, with the housing rehab, what percent of that money is that public service?
No, it's not.
Okay.
If the city council elected to do so, they could use the entire program for the housing rehabilitation program.
Okay. And can you explain which ones exactly are public service?
WeTip program, neighborhood beautification, alternatives to gang membership, fair housing.
It's marked right there.
Yeah, okay, now, and all of that has to add up to 15%, including administration?
No, excluding.
Okay, so, let's do the math here. The WeTip program is 0.15%. It's not even 1%. The cleanup program is 3.6%. The gang is 3.2%. So right now we're not even at 8% yet. The fair housing is 0.48%. We're maybe at about 9% at this point. What was the other one?
The administration?
No, administration doesn't count.
WeTip program, neighborhood beautification, alternatives to gang program, and fair housing program.
Okay, now, are those numbers based on either the 317,000 or the other 313,000, or are they derived from 630,000?
From the 313,000.
Public service is $46,990, and that percentage is 15%.
Should be at close to 15% of the 313.
You know, we've had this discussion before, and like I said, I don't think enough is being done out there as far as the neighborhood beautification. You know, those cleanup programs that we have are very good, but once again, there's a lot of people that do not have pickup trucks, are senior citizens, and they can't get their garbage out there. When people, you know, there's a lot of trees in this community. People need to trim those trees. That becomes a problem. And I just don't think we're doing enough to reach out to the community to get things cleaned up.
Joe?
And
Yes.
whatever we can do, I think we
This
should go in that
22,
direction.
this 22,000, that is the cleanup program that we have here at the.
Right, that's the annual,
that-
semi-annual.
Semi-annual, twice
Twice a
the
year.
the roll-offs there.
Right, the next one will probably be springtime as usual.
You know, Joe,
Probably May.
and I understand what Alan is saying on this, and we have it here at City Hall, and I know it's costly to have it in different sites than it is just to have it in one location. But we do have a site right there that's on Norwalk and 214th, which is the vacant lot that we have that city owns, to put maybe some dumpsters there and have somebody from that area, if they don't have trucks, to maybe carry it over into that site, and maybe find a location closer to the east side of the city, so they maybe, if something is lighter, they can just, you know, in a wheelbarrow carry it, or I don't know, in the car, or
Would that be a two-day thing?
We have a lot of vacant lots, right?
yeah, we have quite a bit of vacant lots, or put some dumpsters supervised, and it has to be by address. I know it's hard, but I remember, you know, we had this cleanup on Juan Street, and it was very successful, and Mr. Vasquez, you know, from maintenance says, you know, I'd rather have people that don't live on the street come and dump it than to dump it out on the street, and then it's going to be a public nuisance. And I agree with him. And I don't know which is the best way to do it, but I agree. How can we best use this money? 23,000, 22,000. You know, it's about 23,000, because I believe the cost was a bit under $500. That is including bins and the cost. So it was not an expensive project. There was two bins, two streets that really needed. One street and different sites that really needed help, and we got two full dumpsters. So if that can happen throughout the city, and maybe get some of these streets that need it the most, we concentrate on some of the streets that need it the most, see how it works out, and try to use it to our advantage, and work with Consolidated to get it at cost. You know, they should also help us out too, because I think they're the service for this community. It also helps them, because my understanding, they're supposed to pick up, right, like the heavy
That's our agreement now.
Their agreement, right.
Bulky items they pick up, but you have to
Yeah.
call them.
But
You don't throw it out in the street.
Right.
You call them to pick
But
it
what
up.
I'm saying, see, if that wouldn't make them come back twice, if they can pick it up at one time, in other words, if I have to dump a refrigerator that I have in the backyard, I dump it out one time rather than for them to send a special truck to pick this up.
This is
So it
scheduled
saves
day,
them money. I mean, what's cost effective? How can we do it to have it throughout the community, and we can still be effective? And to get their support, tell them, look, the advantages to you are, is if we have it throughout the communities, you reduce the cost that is going to cost us for the city, the bins.
It's cheaper to do it the way we're doing it right now, which is having it twice
But-
a year.
yeah.
Under the circumstances with the resources that are limited and the funds are limited.
Yeah, but if they're going to save themselves some time, Joe, to come in like every Thursday or once a month or whatever to pick up some heavy items, if they can have it, you know, throughout the year, if we have it, I'm sure they'll see an advantage to them there too. Because, you know, maybe we can work something out. Maybe we can get an extra 4 or 5 bins, you know, throughout the year, an extra 6 bins, and put them out through, you know, like divided in quarters. It's only a square mile of the city, and says, listen, this is only going to be for refrigerators or stoves. It can't be for no tree cutting or whatever. It's just going to be for certain things.
Is this a program in addition to the one that's being proposed?
Well, I know it sounds like, we have to maybe use some money to, see how.
We have to look for other money.
Right.
Look for other money, but I know what you're saying, and I know that's the concern of some
Well,
people.
staff will look into finding other ways of
Yeah.
trying to subsidize
Right.
a way to, get.
No, because I know
additional payments,
you helped out in that one, that cleanup,
Yeah.
and that's something money
but
that we
were
really.
able to get that at cost.
Right.
I have
We would
another-
have to, further discuss that with Consolidated, Disposal, who's our franchisee. But for this particular program that's being presented, if that's a different program than the one we did on Long Island.
Okay.
I have another question for you. Maybe I'm a little slow in the learning curve here.
And the percentage, just so I calculated this, is 14.99%.
Okay. So it's very close to.
Very close.
Now, why is it that, we have 2 years worth of money that we're trying to use here, $313,000 and $317,000, right? And together it comes out to $630,000. Is that correct?
Well, it's not 2 years.
It's fiscal year, right?
Right, but there's we have money left
It may seem
over
like it's
from-
2 years, but it's
Okay.
from prior
6
years.
months, 6 months.
So how come is it that we can only use 15% and it only goes towards like $317,000 or $313,000 instead of the entire amount?
These funds were already programmed for other programs, and a majority of this comes from the housing rehab program, which wasn't implemented last year, and possibly partially from the year before.
Can you request for more money? Can there be a possibility to get some more money instead of getting 600 and 30,000? Ask for 800,000.
That's our allocation for the
That's-
city.
that's-
Every city
How do they work that? Do you know? I'm sorry.
is based on population.
Based on population. Well, they'll be surprised when they come with a new census that we're going to need a million and a half, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that we have to also as council members work on to make sure that they do the the battle they're having, whether it be sent out certain areas or house to house census. And because I think we're getting a short of the stick, because I think there's more people than we actually really account for.
We did in 1990. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Well, it's not going to happen.
Is there any other
Yeah,
question?
I have some more questions, because I really am a little concerned about this. In this housing rehab program, how much of the cost would you estimate is involved in paperwork and variances, permits, all that kind of stuff? Is there any estimate?
Case by case, depending on what the request is on a particular case.
So a lot of that money goes basically towards just paperwork.
No, there's in this
Well, yes.
$265,000. There is budgeted for a full-time position of a housing technician 3.
All I can say, driving around, and a lot of people notice it out there, and my, hats off to the Public Works again, but there's a real need out there to do more. It used to be that when that graffiti went up, it was taken down. We just had a very emotional testimony about what's going on with the gangs here. The longer that graffiti stays up, the more you encourage those gangs.
Alan, are you talking about public property or, if
Everywhere.
somebody owns it? If somebody paints on my fence, I'm gonna cover it up myself.
Right, well, a lot of
Clean
people
it
aren't
off as fast as you
doing
can.
that. A lot of it is on public property. Okay. In the alleys, I would encourage you to drive
Yeah.
through the alleys. Go in the alleys
Don't encourage.
west of Norwalk, north of Carson, between 214th, 215th, 215th and 16th Tilbury, all those alleyways. It looks like
They're messy.
a real gang hangout. There's a real problem going on there. And the graffiti is staying up there too long. Okay, and all the couches, the stoves, everything out there in the streets, they're out there too long also, and it's nothing against the Public Works. I'm just saying that more money should be allocated towards the Public Works to get these things cleaned up so people will see a nicer community and will want to rehab their houses and will want to invest in the American dream here in Hawaiian Gardens. Right now, I'm not sure that when people drive around the city and they're not familiar with it, I think they'd be a little bit reluctant because it's, when you go to other places, unless we want to compare ourselves to Compton, South Central Los Angeles, the worser parts of Santa Ana, okay, the city has a lot of cleaning up to do, and that's always been my,
You know, I've lived here a long time, and it's only been the last few years that I see people just leaving stuff out there. They didn't
Right.
used to do that.
No, and I think they should be cited for doing
Yeah,
that.
they should get a
should be
ticket if
cited.
they just set
And
a
this is what
couch
we're-
out there
This
and
is
leave
what
it.
we're trying to do, is eliminate that.
Because
They were-
we
they
didn't
were-
have it
They were
before, did we,
programmed for
Ralph?
this, throwing out their trash out in the middle
Yeah.
of
You know
the
what's-
sidewalk,
what's
and
really
somebody would
hard-
pick it up,
Shop.
and we're not gonna do that anymore.
What's really hard, Ralph, is you really don't know who threw it out there at times. You know,
Well,
we lived on Britton Street with my parents. I mean, sometimes there'd be something on the street. It appeared there, you know.
Mattresses
And
and
I'd go in
couches
my
and
house
all.
and it's
Yeah,
my
but
couch.
a lot of time it's the people that live there, though.
Yeah, but, and you're right.
I
and
see it on the corner.
I think
where
that
live.
that our residents had to be educated and told that you call the rubbish company and they'll set up a date and a time, and they'll come by and pick it up, you know? Or keep it in the backyard until cleanup day is, you know, when we have the cleanup day.
You know,
But
and you're right, and maybe they don't know what number to call, or when
Right,
to call, or when
right.
it comes, or how you can go about it. And I agree with Mr. Calcott, I've been through those alleys. You know, I happen to go by there, and a lot of those, they have like little sites that are for the trash, and then the supposed to be for the dumpsters.
The
Well, a lot of it
enclosures,
doesn't get
yeah.
picked up, the enclosures, and I don't think code enforcement, or, I'm sorry, Public Works can go in there. They really can't go in there, because that's
Private
up to
property.
middle of the alley, it's their property, you know?
Yeah.
And without their consent, we really can't remove anything from there. I'd hate for Public Works to go out there and remove a couch, and all of a sudden, they call us up on it. But, it's hard on that, and I know it's a
Yeah.
nuisance.
Yeah.
One thing, maybe that's another side. See, there's some of the businesses there that can probably, everybody pitch in to put a dumpster in their businesses, because they want, I'm sure, to attract more people into their businesses. So if they help out, who can help us clean up this community, and how can we help them in turn?
All right, Joe, you want
Yeah,
to say?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I'll be presenting an update during staff reports regarding the bail schedule and the issue with the couches and some of the flyers that the community development department is going to be mailing out towards the beginning of next week. And I won't be doing it now because it's not really relevant to the public hearing, but I'll do that during staff reports at the end of the council meeting.
We gotta remember that, what is our public works crew, is 5 people, that's all we have, but 6 people, 6 people.
I was just trying to say something real quick, and thanks,
Then we get on.
Joe and staff for the bail, the setting and sending it out, because I know some cities are hurting on that because they were setting up they hadn't set up new schedules, so it was a different bail, and all of a sudden they couldn't charge these things on it because they hadn't updated it. So, I think you guys are doing a good job to do that, and not to overcharge someone without it passing first, and then that they understand that there's a new fee.
Is there any more
I have,
questions?
Joe, once in a while, an individual will ask for a bin on their property, like I called you about that, and they haven't been delivered. Is that on this same program, or is that different?
No, it's not, and it's really an extension of the neighborhood beautification program that's part of the 22,940. For this fiscal year, we need to find out where we're at with the monies that are owed to consolidated disposal, and there's only enough money to do one program. So whatever bins are going out, there'll be that many less bins during that day of the cleanup program.
Okay. But that is an effective way of cleaning up an area of the neighborhood, because I know that one certain street, I think it's Elaine, we sent one out and it was filled up almost immediately. Within 2 days it was full, and the people were asking, can anybody dump on it? Of course, when they asked me, I said, of course, it's taxpayers' money. But that's an effective way of cleaning some of those neighborhood areas. And I believe, like Betty says, this is happening a lot in the last several years. But this, not only this community, but other communities that have a high transient population, it happens a lot because people, when they move, or when they move in, they buy cheap furniture, and then when they leave, they might leave their furniture behind and they'll put it in the street.
Well, I've
as a
noticed
landlord,
that
I
across
know
the
that's-
street. When
Pardon?
that home, I noticed it across the street on the corner, the
Right.
one that has the block wall.
Right.
I mean, they just,
And,
not the people that are there now. I think they've bought it, but the ones that rented before, they would just leave their leftovers out there.
And as a landlord, I've experienced that they leave me all kinds of stuff.
Clean up the mess.
I don't put it on the sidewalk. I take it to a bin. or I'll call for a bin. But that's one of our problems. It's not that people just throw stuff out there. It's because
It's new people.
yeah, the people that stay here don't do that.
No.
It's your people that are coming in and out.
Mr. Mayor, just to
Yes.
give some history, if you recall, the community development program in the past, the neighborhood beautification program was done in the past where we had anywhere from 10 to 15 cleanups in a year where we put these bins out in the street, and it was a very effective program. The reason why it was changed is because there's been a substantial staff reduction as well as a substantial reduction in available resources. Most of that program was subsidized by the redevelopment agency. And again, it was a very successful program and staff endorses it, but
It's the ideal
it
program, but
was
we don't
also
have the
being
resources to do it.
subsidized though through the redevelopment agency at a substantial amount.
Any other questions? If not, I'll make a motion to waive further reading and adopt resolution number 09-99.
I'll second the motion.
Second. Okay, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Schultz?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calhoun?
Yes.
Mayor Sistema?
Yes, motion carried. Yeah. Item B is ordinances. We have no ordinances at this present time. Item C is a resolution. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens approving an agreement by and between the City of Hawaiian Gardens and the WeTip Incorporated for crime reporting services.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mayor and Council, I'm going to call on Mr. Colombo again. This is in regard to the WeTip as stated, and also it's in regards to the funding that was, they're looking under CDBG.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, in the past, we have always signed an agreement between the City of Hawaiian Gardens and WeTip Incorporated, which is a nationwide crime reporting program which allows citizens to report crimes in an anonymous way. In order to keep the program funded and have all the cities support the program, they are asking that we pay $1,000, and a one-year agreement is being presented before you for February 1st through January 31st of the year 2000. Staff recommends that you adopt resolution number 10-99.
Is there any questions on this resolution?
Waive,
We've had this program before, haven't we?
Right.
have to waive for the reading and adopt 10-99.
Seconded? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Schultz?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calhoun?
Yes.
Mayor Sistema?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, item B2 is a resolution of the City of the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens, County of Los Angeles, State of California, declaring parcels located at 12345 Carson Street. The property number is 7066-017-012 and 22433 Belshire Avenue and 12252 Britton Avenue on parcel number 7076-033-010 as public nuisances and setting February 9th, 1999 as a public hearing date to consider abatement of said nuisances. Joe?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, you have before you resolution number 11-99, which basically is requesting the City Council declare these properties a public nuisance. One property is a duplex. It has become very unsightly, and there's accumulation and storage of abandoned vehicles, rubbish, weeds, and other rank growths. There is also operation of a wrecking yard and dismantling yard of parts, and also a upholstery shop without permits and body shop without permits. The second site is a duplex 22433 Belshire Avenue and 12252 Britannia Avenue. This is a corner property. This property also has accumulation of trash and debris, patio structures without permits, storage of inoperable motor vehicles, and possible illegal structure with the residents.
Have the-
Staff
Okay, go ahead.
is recommending that you declare these properties a public nuisance and set February 9, 1999 as a date to hold a hearing to receive their testimony.
They have been properly notified,
Yes, they
and they haven't did anything about the cleanup then also.
Their time to present the case before the council would be February 9th, and they would be notified by certified mail, as well as the property would be posted in accordance with Section 16 of the City Code.
Any questions, Council?
Yeah, Joe, how does that work when, let's say, property is a public nuisance and the owners have abandoned the property, and the property at times goes back to a bank, or if it's insured under an FHA or federal money, it goes to HUD, Housing Urban Development. Do they pay the city for all the work that's being done, or we just lose that?
I'm sorry, do they pay the city for it?
HUD, because I know HUD's pretty much, well, they're not going to pay. Like, let's say, for example, I noticed, a couple there that I'm Britain, and I know what you're talking about. I think the people have left already. It's just been abandoned, and I believe that one may be going back to HUD. So
Is this pertaining to the next agenda item?
I'm
Britain?
sorry. It's okay. There's two Britain. I'm sorry. So that's I didn't see that, but still the same question. I mean, it'll apply to either one of these, any of these properties. When you know that, let's say a bank is the people have abandoned the property, pretty much they're foreclosing on it, so they leave. Then the property goes back to the bank, but the bank sees that there's no profit on it, so they go under a premium mortgage insurance. So they send it to HUD, and they said you take care of it. Does HUD normally pay the city when you do a cleanup? Let's say the cost that it took to clean that property up, or they don't?
Well, we've experienced in several cases where we're trying to clean up a property. We've attempted to contact the bank or HUD, and most cases we've been successful in trying to get them to clean up the property. In other cases, for one reason or another, property changed hands so quickly that a lien will be recorded against a property. When it goes through escrow, if there is a lien on that property, the city will recoup its costs.
So if let's say you put a
Regardless who owns the property.
okay, regardless of who owns. So a property owner all of a sudden incur a lien that they knew nothing about, and it's like, wow.
They wouldn't know because they had been certified. They've been sent letters by certified mail, and also the court would issue a warrant to access the property.
Right, but that may happen where you send it out, and all of a sudden that's when it changes ownership. So therefore, the other people are out. They've abandoned the property, and pretty much let it go to the bank. So then the new owners, when they come in, they know nothing about this lien. The lien gets imposed. It gets recorded maybe 2-3 days after it's recorded with the new people. So then they're like, what do? I mean, for them to go back to HUD, because I know in some cases, somebody says, well, sorry, you were supposed to have checked that.
We haven't experienced any case like that where there had been an attempt to record a lien during a transaction. If it does, we'll have to deal with it, but nevertheless, if a property gets abated, the property owner is going to be responsible for the cost assessed on that property.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to waive further reading and adopt resolution number 11-99.
I'll second that.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Schultz?
Aye.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calco?
Yes.
Mayor Cicena?
Yes, motion carried. Item B3 is a resolution of the City Council, City of Hawaiian Gardens, State of California, confirming cost of abatement for property located at 12243 Britain Street, parcel number 7076-034-018, and directing staff to redeem said costs. Joe, you want to?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, the City Council had adopted resolution number 40-98 directing staff to abate a public nuisance on this property, which basically dealt with overgrowth of vegetation and various trash and trees. The property owner was notified and did not comply with the order, and as a result, the Los Cerritos Judicial District on December 12, 1998 issued a warrant to allow staff to access the property and clean up the property, which was done between December 13th through December 21st. The total cost of cleaning up the property was $3,128.40. Staff recommends that you adopt resolution number 12-99 confirming the abatement costs and to recover said costs.
Any questions, Council?
Yeah, I have one question. You notified this property on April 28th, 1998, and then you gave them additional time to clean this up, but actually wasn't done until December 12th, 1998. Is that the normal length of time, almost 8 months, to get a property to abate a nuisance?
No, it's not, and as it had been indicated, that this particular property had a problem with an address, and we had to obtain a search warrant, an inspection warrant for the property.
So usually it takes like 4 months or something.
It could take anywhere 3 to 5 months, depending on the case.
Okay, so this was an exception.
Well, we had rains. We've had, again, problems with, we have a reduction in staff. Public Works Department is helping the Community Development Department in cleaning up the property. And this did take a longer period of time. But the property owner was duly notified of the abatement, and a warrant was obtained properly, and he was notified of this administrative hearing tonight.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion. I'll make a motion to waive further reading and adopt resolution number 12-99.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Schultz?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calco?
Yes.
Mayor Sisena?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, we go to item C4 is approval of resolution number 13-99 to approve warrants and payroll. A resolution of City Council, City of Hawaiian Gardens, approving the pre-issued warrants and regular warrants for a total of $256,580.36. Do we have any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to waive further reading and adopt resolution number 13-99.
Second motion.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Schultz?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calco?
Yes.
Mayor Sisena?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, we go on to the consent calendar.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to request the items pertaining to the Sheriff Department. Lieutenant Smith is here to explain.
Right, I see him out there. Lieutenant, did you want to make a report on this?
Mike Smith, LA County Sheriff, Lakewood Station, Lieutenant. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Calco, distinguished members of the council. I believe you received the monthly report, and I've prepared a few remarks, and then if you want to ask me some questions, I'll be glad to speak to them. It's my honor to report to you tonight that the Hawaiian Gardens policing team has been extremely effective during the last year, ending November 1st, 1998. The overall crime rates in the Part 1 crime category, the major felony crime category, as reported to the State Department of Justice, demonstrates a falling crime rate in all major categories except robbery, and that category remains static for the month of November. We will not be able to truly compare a year-to-year basis until the end of March. We'll have the first quarter report to compare this year as opposed to last year. As you're well aware, the contract we entered into was November 1st, 1997, and that first year contract date was up on November 1st, 1998. And so we're able to do our first comparisons with the month of November from 98 to 97. If you look at November 98 statistics as compared to last year's, you'll notice that the crime rate is dramatically down in all areas of Part 1 crimes reported. Rape was down 100%, assault down 41%, residential burglary down 75%, non-residential burglary down 33%, theft 9%, grand theft auto, which is one of the more contemporary crimes today, was down 80%, and arson was down 100%. Now, the 100% may be one was committed last year and there was none committed the November of this year. However, the positive thing is the downward trend is there, and that's a good thing. You can rest assured that the crime rate reduction is can be attributed to many things, but I believe that it's mainly due to a very proactive policing team that you have seen put in place in the city. They've been very successful. We've made several hundred arrests in the city, and although, you know, it's a negative thing to say you have to arrest somebody, you have to realize that if arrest is required, that's either a crime that's solved or a potential crime that does not occur, as in regards to the Part 2 crimes. And if you look at your statistics, when we speak to Part 2 crimes, those numbers relate directly to arrests. That's how Part 2 crimes are reported. You wouldn't know they occurred unless we made arrests. Another thing I'd like to report that during the last year, feedback's dangerous. During the last year, your patrol forces remained static. There have been no new people brought in. It's been very stable. And in regards to the patrol force, not only do we have 2 black and whites around the clock on each shift, but we're also able to add additional police services through the grant money, which you've all reviewed the resolutions where we've been able to put more police cars in the street in regards to DUI, traffic enforcement, the party car, and the overlap augmentation. And it's important to note that on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, oftentimes you have 4 to 5 black and white police cars on the street in Hawaiian Gardens between the peak report for calls for service reports, and that's 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning. Just a specific note here, your policing team made in excess of 650 arrests during the year of 1997, 1998. That's fairly dramatic. And we've actually been able to add a member of the team through that grant money, the criminal abatement deputy who works fairly closely with the city staff in abating problematical areas as they relate to the crime rate in the city. More positive notation is that the policing team has received over 20 commendations during the year from citizens, and I've also received a great amount of praise from the city staff who have developed, and vice versa, the deputies also have developed a very good working relationship with the city staff, and specifically city administrator, assistant to the city administrator, and the code enforcement folks. That's about all I have formally. Oh, nope, almost forgot something here. We give you a monthly report, and I think it's a kind of handy-dandy report because it also shows our response times. It breaks down our emergency, priority, and routine. And I'm very proud of the fact that the City of Hawaiian Gardens has the best response times of all the cities that are serviced by the Lakewood Sheriff Station. The average for the year, you have an average for the month of December. I think you just received the December report, but the average for the year is even better. We had over 146 emergency calls in the city last year. That's emergent type of calls, and the response time was about 2.8 minutes. Priority, which is the next step down, we had 1,918 calls for service, and the response time averaged 6.4 minutes. And your routine calls for service, that's just your basic report calls, 4,495 total, and the response time there was 19 and a half. And that compares to the average of 25 minutes for the other cities in the station area. So I think that's a lot of good news. We only had one fatality in the city last year, and it was not due to any gang warfare. It was a narcotics-related murder, and we see that I know there was some concern about the gangs in the city, and I share those concerns. But the gangs have, from our point of view, been very quiet during 1998. Do you have any questions?
Mike, the gang unit, can you explain that a little bit, the unit that handles the gang part?
Yes. Obviously, all the deputies that are housed out of Lakewood Station, your patrol deputies, your special assignment officers, your criminal abatement deputy, they're all responsible for enforcing all laws, including those that relate to gang members. However, on the Sheriff's Department, we have a Safe Streets Bureau, which is a headquarter unit. And the headquarter unit augments a cadre of deputies to every sheriff's station. And at Lakewood Sheriff Station, we have a cadre, it's known as OSS, and that stands for Operation Safe Streets. And those are the detective investigators. They're responsible for investigating all crimes that we believe were committed by gang members, because they have a special expertise in identifying and interacting with the gangs, and they're quite successful in securing successful prosecutions of the district attorney. But also an adjunct unit of OSS is the gang enforcement team. Now you have, I believe, 3 OSS? We have 4 members assigned to the OSS investigative team, and then we have 5 gang enforcement deputies and a sergeant. Gang enforcement deputies are just actually additional patrol service that are supplied to the cities, and they work all 6 of the cities in the Lakewood Station area.
Any other questions, Council?
I have a question. You heard the lady, Mrs. Underwood, come and talk about the gang activity, and I know you have several cities. Is this something unusual that's going on right now, or is this just happened to be an incident that happened in Hawaiian Gardens? Are other cities having similar problems?
Are we talking about the car?
The drive-by shootings, and I know that some of those things probably were from people that were not from the city, but of course, anytime something happens in the city, we get blamed for it. It's our fault.
Yes,
but,
I would clarify that one incident that Ms. Underwood was speaking to originally originated in the city of Lakewood.
Right. It wasn't Hawaiian
and
Gardens.
The individuals tried to get home, and they came this way. So it actually, although it was reported in the press as having occurred in the city of Hawaiian Gardens, it occurred at 207th Street in Norwalk, and the culmination of the attack ended down here in Hawaiian Gardens. But I have to tell you, to be quite frank with you, and you can also solicit the input from the other deputies that work in the cities, specifically the SAO deputies. Gangs are problematical, and our take on gang enforcement is that we throw a lot of patrol resources at them. Hopefully, we are out there so that we defer them from making or engaging in any type of crimes. But when you get right down to it, and this is not me as a lieutenant talking, but I also happen to be a psychologist and a football coach and a college professor, I can tell you that gangs are an outcropping of dysfunctionality, and a lot of it starts at home. And I agree with a lot of what Ms. Underwood spoke to, the fact that it takes a family, a successful family unit, good role modeling to break that cycle of violence. And usually the police are reactive to gangs. We try to be proactive, but we usually come up with a situation and investigate the crime because gangs are sophisticated, and they know how to bend the rules, so to speak, and do a lot of things that are undetected to us until the crime occurs. But I'm actually quite positive because I see gang crime on the decline. And I was at Lakewood Station in 1989, and I can tell you that there was a heck of a more serious gang problem, not only in Hawaiian Gardens, but in the city of, and other cities that we police in this area. And there's a downward trend, you know, whether it's can be due to the demographics, aging of the population, whatever, because as the population ages, fewer people are going to be prone to be involved in criminal activity. But I'm very positive that we don't have the gang drive-by shootings we had 5, 10 years ago. We just don't have it. There was an incident that occurred 2 weekends ago involving a shooting in Hawaiian Gardens, and it's under investigation. I'm really not able to share the specifics right now, but I would just share with you there's more to that shooting than meets the eye, and it's probably not what it was portrayed by the individuals that are involved. I can tell you that what was reported is not actually what happened.
I understand it wasn't a drive-by. It happened internally there.
At this point, we believe there was no drive-by that occurred.
No, there was no drive-by.
Maybe some internal policing, so to speak.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Thank you for your report. No.
Yeah. Mike, well, thank you. And this reporting is wonderful. It's great. It's broke down where we can really understand what's happening. And the Sheriff's Department is doing a wonderful job. And anything we can do, we're right here to help you also.
We appreciate it, Mayor. And we've sensed a strong sense of support from the city, and it's always appreciated. An adjunct part of that report is a traffic report. And if you have any questions on that, that's why I have the traffic expert sitting next to me. If you have
I like
any
this
questions.
breakdown. Yeah, it's breakdown by street and how many incidents
But
were
it's
there.
pretty straightforward.
Very good. Any other
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mike. Thank you, Joe, too.
Thank you. How's the officer doing? The guy that got into the house?
The coffee cup?
The coffee cup. How's the officer doing? Just
Coffee cup on the head incident.
The assault with the coffee cup
Yeah, right.
situation.
Pit bull.
Let's just say the dog fared worse than the officer did, and he's stitched up and back to work.
The reason why, I didn't mean to bring that up as a kind of a throwaway, but we have to be careful, and there's a lot of these people that really don't take control of their animals, and it's not that I'm against animals, but I'm against an animal that's actually hurting the safety of the community and of the officers that are trying to protect our people here. So I think you guys responded to what you had to respond with, so in support to you and best to the officer that's back to work now, right?
Yes, he's healing well, and he's back out here working. I don't think he lost any time, really, maybe an hour or two that day, but he was back to work the next morning.
Right, but I mean, that can be an assault to an officer, an animal coming at you, can maybe bring a charge against the individuals or the pet owner, can it?
Was a coffee cup coming down on his head.
Yeah, and I'm sure the coffee
The coffee cup that's a charge in itself.
That's
let me tell
right.
you. But yes, if you loose a dog on a person, that's assault with a dangerous weapon.
Right.
With force likely to produce great bodily injury, so that is a crime.
And some people don't know that. They don't know that's a possibility, so thank you.
All righty.
Thank you, Mike.
Good night.
Okay, Good night now. Okay, on the consent calendar, anything else you want to discuss on the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion that we approve or receive and file items from 1 to 5.
1 to 5. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, motion carried. Okay, we'll go on to our agency agenda. And item A is resolution, is the approval of resolution number 99-02 relating to warrants and payroll. Resolution number 99-02, a resolution of the City of Hawaiian Gardens Community Redevelopment Agency approving the pre-issued warrants and regular warrants for a total of $52,089.31. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Okay.
Okay, and it's probably kind of a tough one here, but I have to bring this up because a lot of people have questions about this. Going over this, for the month of November, we incurred legal fees of $42,004. in a redevelopment agency. We just approved $13,000, $184.07 to the general fund. So for the month of November, our legal services were $55,188.96. That's a lot of money. I guess there was a lot of activity going on. But I have expressed this before, and I guess now I really want to make it public. When we start this budget process, I really hope that in the budget, we will limit, or at least try to limit, or put some kind of a cap on how much we're going to spend on our legal services, because it's just too much money. Just plain and simple, and I'm not saying that it's nothing against Franzel and Chair. It's certainly nothing against Ms. Silva here. I've been to a lot of dinners, and she's been at a few of them, and I've seen how she's well received by all the local politicians around here, the important bigwigs. So she's highly respected, and I'm sure she's very, her integrity that's not to be questioned. What's to be questioned is how much money we're spending on legal services, how much we can afford. We used to have a police force. We got rid of that police force because we couldn't afford them. Now, I'm certainly not saying that we should get rid of Franzel and Chair, but certainly if we can limit how much we're going to spend on the police, then we should be able to limit how much we're going to spend on legal services. So, I'm concerned about this. I hope that's going to be discussed in the budget process. And I just want to say, flat out that in the budget, there's got to be a limit to how much we spend on legal services. This is just too much money. I think I saw one document that maybe it was in 1997, $380,000 was spent on legal services. I don't know what the total is going to be for 1998. But, when you look at this, and I was playing around with the calculator today. For every hour of the month of November, every hour our legal services were costing us $76.65. Every hour in the month of November, $76 was going towards legal services. Now, I'm sure it's an aberration, but there's got to be a limit to how much we spend on the legal services.
Yeah, but for a city that don't have any money, we sure approve a lot of warrants and payrolls every 2 weeks.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that we really have to look at our legal expenditures.
Well, aren't you on the finance committee?
Yeah.
And Loopy, do you guys go through all this stuff before it gets here?
Yes.
I'm just
Well, you
bringing.
should
A lot of these bills are
some-
not paid, though,
Okay.
Betty. We
Well,
approve
I know,
them, but they're
but
not paid.
Alan should have seen. We
Well,
got
what I'm bringing
a
this
lot
up-
of stuff here a while back.
Okay, what I'm bringing
had to
this,
do with
I
that.
see invoice numbers. So are these going out? Is the money going out, or okay? It's just something that we're going to owe down the line.
We just approve it and then they wait until they get money, right?
Well, they're not getting paid either.
Right.
That's good.
But the point is, it's a debt, and
Tony and I
there should be a limit
discussed that
to it
before.
somehow. There should be a limit.
Because we approve them, that doesn't mean we're paying them.
But
Eventually,
we'll have to pay more.
Eventually,
Right.
we will.
I think the thing is, see,
We're obligated if we vote.
Right.
We're also defending a lot of cases that it's not just our attorney that's defending these cases. There's a number of attorneys from, I believe, Ms. Silva's firm that is helping us with so many cases. If she was to take on case by case,
She's overwhelmed.
to be honest with you, and this is not to, I've known her for years, and I had the opportunity to talk to her husband, and one of the things he said, bottom of my heart, he says, Julia says sometimes, can't go to sleep, says, I wish I could win the lottery, honest to God, win the lottery, and she doesn't know, he told me this, so she could give it to the city to money, give the money to the city, and pay for whatever. Says, I'm tired of people bashing me, and I'm trying to do something good for the city. Says, I'm tired of that. And I want to defend you, Julie, because I know where your heart's at, and I know these costs. It's not because something she has incurred. It's been defense things that we have to defend ourselves. The thing is if you go to court without an attorney, you're often going to lose. We've, of course, spent some money in defense, but also have won some cases where we don't have to spend out millions. You have to have attorneys that know what they're talking about to defend the city, and I support you 100%. And if anybody tells me different, I like to talk to them and give me proof that she is the one that has incurred these costs, and it's her fault for going to court for the mistakes that were done before we even got here.
Right.
So you can't throw the rock at someone without knowing that if that person did it. That's very unfair.
Okay, all I am saying, and I'm gonna say Monday or there should be a limit to how much we spend on our legal services. If we can limit how much we spend on our police.
But you have to limit it in the lawsuits.
You can't.
Well,
We have to
can't
limit
limit
them.
it.
That's what we
then,
have to do, prevent
you
that.
know,
That's the lawsuits to the door.
There's no way to prevent
Okay,
it.
well,
We're not
To limit
suing
it.
anybody, we're getting sued.
You know,
Wish we
I
could.
understand
Wish
we have
we
to
could.
defend ourselves, but it's just a lot of money,
Of course it's a lot of money.
and it's gotta be discussed.
If we were in a different situation, maybe we could limit it, but in the situation we are now, we can't.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Mr. Cecina, if this is what would happen, if Julia was to say, you know what, I choose for you to go and get a different counsel, then the new counsel will get the credit because she's almost toward the end of all these lawsuits, closing some of them. If you notice that we've had a few that have disappeared. So now it's gonna come to a point where there's not gonna be that much expense. And you know what would happen? She would be the bad guy, any attorney that would come in would be the good guy. I know there's some attorneys out there that would love to see her go because she has not agreed with some of the things some of the things they believe in. And this person also was, I don't know how, but also represented the city in both redevelopment and agency, which I think is very unprofessional, and I think there's a very high conflict there. But the thing is that these people will push it to try to target someone because it's not for their benefit. It could be an ego trip. I don't believe that there's an ego trip there. I think that, there has been cases where it's very costly to defend. It's very costly to go to court on anything. I mean, there's attorneys that will charge you $1,000 per hour. There's some that will charge you $100 per hour. Well, on the average that we get per hour, I don't say that we're lucky, but I think that we've been fortunate to be in a small city, not to have gone back to the state or the county or whatever. Because even on talks back about all this money, where's the money? You know what's funny is we had a police department we couldn't afford, and it was costing us over in excess of $1 million per year that we didn't have. So there's no savings there. There's paying out that money, but it wasn't coming in. So now that we have a budget for the police department, it's money that we can actually afford. And, I mean, we'd like to have more to afford more. The other one is laid off employees. What happened to all the money in the savings of the employees? It was overstaffed. I'm sorry, but it was highly overstaffed. And I like to see a lot of these hardworking people come back to work. But the thing is that to budget and to figure out the figures, and I commend you and Lupe for being on this budgetary committee, good for you, but let's find out what we can do so we can prevent lawsuits, so we can prevent excessive money going out, unnecessary money, to overstaff our community, to overstaff our city that really doesn't need it, and to avoid favoritism. Going back to where we're overspending, I don't think it's something we can avoid. We have to spend this money on attorney's fees. There's no way out. It's gonna come to a point where hopefully all these lawsuits will be settled. If we are careful how we handle things, we're not gonna get sued. I commend the city of Artesia for winning that case in court with an adult business. That sets precedence in the surrounding cities. Because, a number of times they have been in the city, that costed lots and lots of money to defend the city. Now, by that ruling that they ruled for the city of Artesia in favor of it, we can use it. So,
We've used
let's
it.
learn.
We've
Yes,
used
we've
it.
used it.
We've
Yeah.
used it.
Right, when we used it, and we have to see what have other people done. How can we use it to prevent a lawsuit? And I respect you, Mr. Calcutt, but I really believe that the attorney, if she had really a choice, I'm gone, because she hasn't gotten paid for 6 months.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that the bills are adding up and it should be addressed. Okay?
Do we
It's
have
not questioning anybody's professionalism, it's just the reality of the situation that we're spending a lot of money on legal services.
If I may, just for the record, Mr. Calcutt, there's a lot of items in the agenda for November. The highest item is a lawsuit that was filed by Dr. Moskowitz against the agency. And we were in court for approximately 2 weeks every day. I had a partner in my office litigating that matter, and we won in the lawsuit. So it's not litigation that was initiated by me.
I know.
It was a lawsuit that I was defending where Dr. Moskowitz was attempting to hold the agency liable for matters that the agency is not responsible for, and we were able to prevail in court.
What
So,
would have happened, Julie, if you had not appeared in that or defense of that?
well, the agency would have had to pay lots of money in the issue of the by right litigation.
Which in an amount of
And I-
standard figure, and
I don't have all the figures for you. I'd be happy to research everything and perhaps discuss everything in closed session. But that particular lawsuit was when we were at Norwalk Superior Court for 2 weeks straight. Just for the record.
All right, I'll make a motion to waive further reading and adopt resolution number 99-02.
I'll second that.
Okay, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Schultz,
Yes.
Director Cabrera,
Yes.
Director Alvarez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Colcoat,
Yes.
Chair Member Suseno.
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, we'll go on to oral staff reports for the city and the agency.
Mayor, yeah, at the council has called on Paul the liberty of having copies made in reference to a memo that he submitted to me regarding the Southern California Water Company. This is an issue that came before you all in January of 12 of 99.
Honorable Mayor and council members, the Southern California Water Company on Thursday, January 21st, came to City Hall to present plans and pull whatever permits are required for the installation of a water main on 222nd Street from Bellshire to Wardham Avenue. The Southern California Water Company is going to install a water main on 222nd that will provide and the related connections that will provide water to all of the residents between Bellshire and Wardham, and also provide 4 new fire hydrants, water for 4 fire hydrants on that street. Further, they plan to put connections to all of the houses on 221st Street on the south side of the street from the new water main that was installed when they had, in part when they were, the city had the county doing the Claretta Storm Drain project. The backyard water main, the one that's in the easement between the 2 properties, will be subsequently abandoned once all this line is in and all the connections are hooked up. And they anticipate continuing on as each of these projects, the schedule they come due, to eliminate all of the backyard water mains.
Very good. Very good. Was this something that happened because we protested the water rates, do you think?
Remember,
We protested on those water meters that were.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Paul. So this means, are they also going to relocate the water meters at the same time?
Yes, to the front.
Well, yeah, they're going to put the mains down the street, and they're going to hook all the connections. All the meters are going to be off the street.
Off the street in the front.
Right.
Okay, because there's a number of houses. Are they going to start just on 221st to 22nd and go throughout the community, or is this just going to
They're
be?
going to start there, and as they have all the rest of them scheduled, and as they come up to the top and schedule, then they're going to complete those.
An ongoing project there, Brad.
So this, I'm sorry.
This is a start.
Yeah.
To move all of the meters to the front yard.
So thank you, Mr. Sena, for pushing on that and getting that, because I think a lot of people actually would like to have those things removed
Right,
at the front.
right.
and-
I know,
and,
I would like to have that done myself.
Yeah.
So that's good. It did, the
it's
squeaking wheel did achieve something there. We
This-
protested and we're getting something for
This
it.
may also improve the quality of water that we get to the city, because, bless you. I know that, and I guess to add another squeak to the same wheel, that thing that I showed you, Mr. Hogan, on Juan Street, that container, anything mentioned up to that, to them about that?
I have taken a Southern California Water employee out to the site and showed him and explained what was going on, and he indicated that it would be repaired.
Okay.
As an aside, Southern California Water Company is also going to be getting an auxiliary connection from Lakewood that will provide water in across Carson into the city of Hawaiian Gardens, which at any time when there's a reduced flow in say Hawaiian Gardens or in Lakewood, water can go back and forth between the two and assist in providing water pressure for fire flow, say, or also additionally help with water quality issues.
Right. want to thank you, Paul, for actually your hard work. I know you put a lot of time in these things, and you really respond, because that was a concern that I had on when we're doing that cleanup on 1 Street, that there was I think it got to a point where the water level got a little too high and was pressurized, and it was just leaking a lot of water.
That's the water tank there?
Yeah, the water
Yeah.
tank. So that's good, and so thank you, Paul, for following up on that.
I believe, Mayor, that Mr. Colombo was going to expound on the bail bond also.
Okay, good.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm going to touch on a number of issues, different topics that relate to the bail schedule, the problem with the couches, what are we doing to address that are being dumped on city sidewalks and parkways, and the status report on the casino, lastly. The issue with the code enforcement and the neighborhood beautification program recently has been a topic of high concern, and it should be. Staff is doing everything they can to keep the community clean and safe. Everybody benefits from that. Staff is doing everything they can under the circumstances, being that we've had some substantial layoffs and a reduction in budget. The case mentioned earlier during oral communications is an isolated incident where I can assure you that the staff was very courteous and handled the case in a very professional manner, and quite frankly I was a little disappointed, but a council member did approach me in that matter, and they were told what had occurred. And not all cases come before the City Council. Some cases are outright, can go directly to court, can be prosecuted, can be cited. Some cases do come before the council for abatements, and some may go before the administrator for a public nuisance abatement on vehicles. And again, I can assure you that staff had handled that case in a very professional manner, and I'm going to stand behind my staff. And as we approach the February date, February 9th, which would be the next council meeting, I believe we'll have the green light to put the bail schedule on the agenda for a hearing where we'll have a bail schedule and an ordinance. We had learned today that the judicial system had approved the bail schedule with some minor corrections, and we're ready to proceed with putting this on the agenda for a hearing. And we will be notifying all the residents in the community, and we're going beyond the notification procedure. We're even going to advertise it in the paper, and we're going to be delivering flyers to all the residences so that they become familiar with the process. And in that same notification, we're going to be notifying people regarding the disposal of the bulky item pickup, where we had transferred that program from the Public Works Department that was handling that for the city to Consolidated Disposal, where they had agreed to provide that service free of charge to the residents and to the city, where up to 4 times a year, 6 items maximum can be disposed of free of charge by calling Consolidated Disposal, and the residents have been notified of that procedure through their billing system. Staff is going to again notify all the residents through a flyer that we're going to be sending out through the bail schedule procedure. And hopefully we can educate the public that it's a no-no to throw couches on sidewalks and parkways. Through the bail schedule system, we will be issuing warnings, but after that they will be cited. Again, that whole entire procedure, and it will be explained at great length during a public hearing, that that bail schedule is basically is a tool for a code enforcement officer to try to educate the public, and at the same time, there are times where citations are going to be issued, and after they are issued, it'll be between the code enforcement officer and the judicial system. The casino is making progress. They had trenched Section A of the site and poured concrete. All the permits have been issued, all fees, applications, everything. All that's pretty much done. And unfortunately, though, the rain has set us back, and hopefully when it clears up, they'll be able to resume work as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. That's a good report.
And that's the tent that'll be brought in. When?
Well, hopefully the tent is on its way, and when it is, it'll be erected very soon. Concrete work, hopefully it'll be done within 2 to 3 weeks, but rain will dictate that, though. There's a lot of work still to be done with the foundation and concrete slab and the underground work, which is the utilities and plumbing.
We're doing everything we can to expedite the project.
Yes, we have. We've
keep it
issued
going.
all the permits we possibly could and try to expedite this. We've been working around the clock, working weekends, and then whenever we can. Again, with the code enforcement program as well, we've been working and doing as much as we can, working weekends. Some of the staff people that work that weekends don't get paid. They're on a salary and do it on a volunteer basis. And we also have an intern working in our department who does not get paid, and she is helping us with the code enforcement program.
That's great. Well, we thank you all. We thank you very much.
In reference to the casino, the statement is we've been doing everything. I would like to add that they've been doing above and beyond. Basically, what it comes down to is that, and that's why we're even bringing in additional help to expedite the inspections. So when we get calls about certain permits, Joe gets on them right away and he addresses them. I.e., I got a call today from Florida regarding some permits. Joe got on it. They were faxed back to Florida. So it's like Mr. Colombo makes reference, weekends. They know our numbers.
So the only thing that's slowing it down is an act of God, rain, and we can't help that. But we're doing everything we can.
Yes, we are.
To make it go.
By the way, on the flyer, it's being written both in English and Spanish so that everybody will get a chance to understand it. And it's being delivered to every household through the bulk mail system, which means every individual unit in the city, whether it be residential or commercial, will receive that guaranteed.
The notifications to residents on different programs. Mr. Colombo's department does make sure that it does go out to all the residents. It's a two-party situation. You're notified, now the responsibility falls on you. And a great deal of that's where there hasn't been total cooperation with this new bail bond issue.
There'll be some education there.
Well, there'll be people enlightened, and I'm sorry to say, I know
Yeah.
people are going to be bringing that to our attention.
Right.
But that's
But it's something we
reality.
have to do.
Yeah.
We have to do that to clean up the city.
Right.
We have to do.
But I mean, it starts in your own backyard.
Right.
Okay, instead of government going out there and doing everything for you, one has to take the responsibility also. Also, I'd like to call on Irving in regards to where we are in the government student day, and also the important one, the golf tournament.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, with the help of Lucy, besides her busy schedule getting ready for the municipal elections, we have already a list of students that are going to be participating on the Student Government Day, which is scheduled for February 23rd from 9 to 2 p.m. And we are in the process to put in the item together for the agenda. We're going to have mock council meeting for the students, and with the approval of Mr. Lopez, I'm sending an invitation to Assemblywoman Sally Harris to be the keynote speaker for the program on the day, and we come out with a theme, and we're going to call it Students in the New Millennium. So that will help her to focus her speech, regarding that topic. So we are working on that, and you're going to be getting, more information in the coming days. Also, for your own information, I want to let you know that with the help of the ABC School District, we are able to start computer senior classes, and I'm, happy to announce that we have 26 seniors to sign up. So we stopped taking sign up because they told us that we can only accommodate 25 seniors. So they're going to start on February 9, and we got transportation division. We're going to take them back and forth to the school district. Also, and I think this is very good information. Ruby Martin, which is the senior advisory board president, is sending a letter, or she sent a letter and communicating with IBM to get computer for the same reason, to have computer in the senior center for the seniors to use. And it seems like she's getting a response, but they're going to be getting laptops, which is better, you know. So now we're going to see, with the help of Mr. Colombo, to see where we can, you know, install this computer once we get them.
Can you get two? I need one as well.
And one more thing that I'd like to mention it to you, Mr. Ernie Vargas and Glenn Cornell is putting together the basketball program, and we're looking forward to starting in a couple of weeks. And we're going to have adult nights, junior high league, and high school league. So we have quite a few kids already coming and practicing, and hopefully we have a good league this winter. And that's all the report I have, unless you have any questions.
That's a good
for the
report.
golf tournament.
Golf tournament.
Forget. I'm trying a hard time. I was hoping to do it in September. I call quite a few golf courses, and they are already booking a year in advance. But still, you know, I have 3 or more locations that I might be able to do something before Christmas.
Did you try California?
Yes, ma'am.
605?
That was
the
the
one
first
that's
place I
booked up?
called. But they said that they might be able to accommodate sometime late October or early November sometime. So.
That's the time we had them before.
Oh, there's the Wonderland Firestone miniature golf, so I'd participate.
I think we only got rained out one time.
It was done in November.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully next time I have good news regarding this tournament.
Did you try Lakewood Country Club?
No, sir.
No, maybe that you might try it there.
I'm supposed to get together with Mr. Ruggieri because I understand that he was very involved in the past.
He's the expert.
He's back there, but I don't know if he's a. He's just.
So if what I will appreciate, if you know you have good connections, you know, it make a big difference. If I call and one of you, you know, call, we might have better ways to get a golf course. And what I'm looking to do is common practice to do a shotgun tournament with foursome. I mean 4 players per team, and I feel if I have 18 group of 4 players, it will be a good turnout. And to look for corporate sponsorship and all the things, which take time to put it together, but we're getting there.
Okay, Irving, that's very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, as stated earlier in reference to towards the budget, I'd like to also, in regards to, I mentioned that on Monday, we're looking at those items being distributed to you all. I also welcome each of you individually to maybe meet with Michael to go over those proposals, so that way it gives one a better insight. And so this is only the step 1 of the process.
The draft of it.
Yeah. And once again, staff has already given as to what they're seeking in regards to the budget itself, and but by this data being distributed to you, and then meeting with Michael for in-depth information on it, I would welcome that very much. So, and I know that Michael would also. Michael, you got any questions for us?
I just wanted to make note that the fiscal audit for 97-98 is in progress. It has been for about off and on for about 3 months. There's pieces that we've done. The RDA audit's been completed. We had some statutory reporting that needed to be satisfied by the end of December. That required that the audit be completed. Right, and not just a review. They had to do all the test work and all their field work in December. So the focus in December was the RDA, the 2 specific funds. Fund 828 have already been audited because we had to satisfy reporting to CDC. And so The annual audit is coming to a close, and we'll have a better picture of our results for the last fiscal year, which is 6 months old, but nonetheless, it's very important to us because it's the beginning of the current fiscal year. The budget that's being compiled now is only for the general fund. So that, the general fund being the operating fund of the city of Hawaiian Gardens. That's being done first.
This is a one-year budget?
Well, we're compiling a 2-year budget, but one of the budget years is already gone, 97, 98. But those results are very important for staff to get a better perspective of some of the circumstances that have affected their ability, their service deliveries. And so that benchmark is important for them as a reference, 97, 98. And then 98, 99 is almost over, but nonetheless, we need the benchmark for ourselves. And we also need your blessing.
Okay, Michael, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, staff? Okay, we'll go on to oral council reports. Betty?
Nothing.
Placido?
I just wanted to report, and this is not something that we talked about before I forget, and there's something here on the, it's called CHOA. That's what you had mentioned earlier, Mr. Calcott, on the program that's money that approved through Freddie Mac, and it's going to be like $70 million distributed through 10 cities. I happen to be a director, and with the help of Mr. Cecina, actually to implement it in the city, to get in the city, for people to purchase homes. It's like, it will be like a lease option with the right to that property after 3 years. In other words, let's say a person does not have money for down payment, and it doesn't matter the income that you make or the money that you have in the bank, which is really good, but you can get it, it's a 1% down on the purchase price, $100,000, $1,000, $150,000, $1,500, and it's spread through those 3 years. In those 3 years, that will be part of your down payment, like with 1% down at the end of 3 years. So at the end of 3 years, it becomes your property. You're not a renter anymore. You're not leasing an option buy. You bought out the property. It's yours. It grants a title is put over in your name. And what's really good is that there's a lot of people that can save money, but they make pretty good money because of the increase in wages, and also it's been a better economy than it has in the past. But it's an excellent program, and it's about $7 million per city. We have over a 60% rental factor in this community, and that will help not only in pride of ownership, but it will clean up a lot of these homes, because a lot of these people that are renting, they really have not put enough money together to buy a house. But now let's say they're going to go rent a new place with first and last in security, it's more than what it would be for this program, and still rent and may qualify to buy the property. So that would be a really, really good program to get involved in. And if there's any additional information, they can come to me. I will certainly give them information. But also any realtor should know of this program, because the Board of Realtors has put out a letter out to all the realtors in the area, and I happen to be a realtor. I'm not greedy, open to anybody, and I encourage any realtor out there to find out about this program, how you can get people into your home and with almost nothing down, just the first month's rent, which will be part of your payment anyways. And also, you take pride of your house, you clean it up, you make sure that it's always painted and the yard is cut and the trim is, it's nicely set. So we increase the owner-occupied rather than renter-occupied. If we can increase it to over 50% owner-occupied, we're going to have some good results, because then what happens is who will dominate will be the owners over the renters. And I'm not discrediting renters, I'm not degrading renters in any way, but you look out, and when you see that everybody else is cleaning up, it's like, hey, I'm the only one left, and that will encourage them.
But there's no qualifying?
Yes, no, there's qualifying. But what I'm saying, Betty, definitely, there's qualifying, and it's the guidelines are, Freddie Mac guidelines, which is a government, organization.
Sort of like the Happy
And
Home.
the CHOA, it's a nonprofit organization, and Chilton presented it to us, one day, and that's through his help and efforts of a few of the council people. I happen to be one of the board of directors, and to make sure that the city, how can we get more money into our cities? I also wanted to, just real quick, and before I forget, I know I'm jumping the gun here, but the city of Artesia got, Joe, a grant for $200,000 for park improvement. If you can check with the city of Artesia how they got that through Sally Havis's office, they got $200,000 for park improvements. So if we could get that, that will help out the cost. Hey, we'll direct that to the parks, and if we can save something for, something else, it's something we could do, because that may be something just to increase it. I don't know if it would be for improvement for services or improvement for updating it, where it's now, where we're not in violation of the code. But getting back now to this program, the reason why I brought it up is because the city of Artesia is one of them. Bell Gardens, Compton, Pasadena, Rancho Cucamonga, Walnut, Huntington Park, Maywood, Cudahy. So all these cities are part of the program. But let's say a city doesn't use all that money, and I want to make an effort to make sure enough people know about it here. If they don't know about it in other cities, they will not use that money. So what happens, it has to be spent for the end of that year. And there's $900 million available for this, okay, which can actually increase to that. If it goes good, it can go up. So can you imagine $900 million? That would be at close to $100 million or $80 million per city. I'm sure there'll be a lot more cities that will want to participate, but those that didn't participate are losing out. Because what happens is then, if you guys got it, you're going to get more. And know how to process the work, the monies, and get it out in the community, we will probably get more. So if we can increase this to make sure that there's more buyers, there's more property owners than renters, we can improve our image, we can help out at the end, because some of these renters have been there for 10, 20 years. Some of these property owners have owned it for 20, 30 years. So the tax ratio, they're paying very little taxes. Now it's reassessed. So rather than pay $200, $300 a year, they're going to pay $2,000, $3,000. The city gets more money in return. So then there's more money coming back into the city. We have to look at economics. How can we help out this community people? How can we make it to where we can, make it easier for them? I can certainly be out here, but, give you the information, Joe, so you can direct them to different people, and that will help us long term get a bit better back in taxes, and also in beautification of our city and taking pride of that, ownership.
Pride of ownership.
Yeah, and I know, and Ralph has been part of this and says, this is a good idea, let's push it, and it's something that we need. So he said, well, what if we could do some meetings for some of these people to be aware of it? Have some meetings throughout the community. Why not? I mean, have these people come to the meetings, have lenders out there. It's through SunWest Mortgage. They are specific as to who's going to lend out this money, because they're the ones that had to put in, like, I don't know, it was $300,000 just up front, just to get that, because that's money that if somebody defaults within that year, the first year, they may have to pay some money out of that, and then a CHOA, a nonprofit, gets the property and then it gets resold. But there will be some cost there, so that's why some money had to be put up front. But it's an excellent program, and I think we should start, some of these meetings to let people know about this program and get more people to buy the properties and take, and this is, owner-occupied, and this first-time buyers is not investors, which is really good. I mean, you want to discourage investors and try to have, first-time buyers and owners to get into this program. It's a very good program, and I, if they need any additional information, I'll get it to you, Joe, and the rest of the council, that maybe get some literature on that too.
We're going to pursue it. We're going to go for it.
You're right, people that own their property do take that
Right.
care of it.
Yeah. And that's what we're very high renter. City of Compton, this was up. City of Cudahy, what is it? They're 1 square mile. We're less than square mile. They're very low, and they have 35. We have like 16,000 or so residents. They have like 35,000.
Double high density.
So the density, can you imagine that? We have it made. We really do. But maybe we're losing out on this money that's coming in, the 630,000. Maybe we can push it to 25,000. Okay, and get an extra $300,000. But how can we do it to make sure when they get, the new census, that's population, we get our fair share? Because as a matter of fact, I believe, I don't know, I could be wrong, but maybe the state has been cheating us of some money, and if we were to do a little bit of research, maybe they'd probably owe us. I don't know if we could amend some of the years back to get some of that money. But so that's what I had to report. Just one more quick thing on the cleanup. If we can do that, you know, I mean, right now is to put some bins. I know, Joe, you were helpful in that, but with the help of Consolidated, do some of that aside of this money. You know, it could be used from, you know, a certain part of the budget that's in here. If we could use it, you know, whatever is going to make Public Works, you know, make it easier for them and not make it such a nuisance. Because really, I believe people don't take advantage of calling up, picking up the phone and calling Consolidated, hey, I've got a refrigerator, I'm dumping out on Thursday, so come and pick it up. They don't know.
They have to
don't
be
know.
educated, right?
They have to be educated,
Right.
and they really don't know. So they just dump it out and hopefully somebody picks it up.
Okay. Thank you, Placido.
Thank you.
Lupe?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Ellen? No? Oh, okay. That's good. I don't have anything. I think everything I was going to say has been covered. So now we'll go into closed session. Our city attorney, Julia Silva, will give us a rundown on what's going to be covered.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, and members of the redevelopment agency. Under the city council agenda, we'll meet under pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A to discuss the Bank of America litigation, Pena, Lynch, and Davis litigation. Also pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9B1 and C to discuss one or more potential cases. Also pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 to meet with our labor negotiator to discuss the status of AFSCME negotiations. Under the redevelopment agency agenda, we'll meet pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A to discuss by right 1, by right 2, Lakewood Suzuki versus the redevelopment agency, Moskowitz versus the redevelopment agency, Plavoy's Markets versus the redevelopment agency, and South Bay Protective and Security Services versus the redevelopment agency. Also pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 to discuss the purchase and sale of the Belshire site, and pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9B, 1 and C to discuss one or more potential cases. Okay?
Okay, we'll go into closed session. We'll have a report from our city attorney, Julia.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the council and members of the redevelopment agency, no action was taken in closed session on any items.
Okay, is there any other business that we should discuss right now? If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn to our next regular city council and redevelopment agency meeting of February 9th, 1999, and also close in memory of Thomas Bess. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes? Oh, yeah, right, we're gonna do that.
Oh,
Okay, this meeting will be adjourned. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Everybody said aye? Okay, meeting adjourned.
I was ready to leave.
No, we're going on to the next item, which is our City of Hawaiian Gardens Public Housing Authority, regular meeting of Tuesday, January 26th. And I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll have a roll call, please.
Director Schultz?
Yes.
Director Cabrera?
Here.
Director Alvarez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Calcote?
Here.
Chair Member
It's been
Sisena?
a long
Here.
night.
Do you have a quorum?
Okay. Oral communications, items on the agenda? No. Oral communications, items not on the agenda? No. Item A is a resolution. Adopt resolution number 01-99 relating to warrants for housing assistance payments. Resolution number 01-99, a resolution of the Public Housing Authority, City of Hawaiian Gardens, approving warrants for a total of $52,207.98. Do we have any comments or?
No, I'd like to waive for the reading and adopt this.
Okay. You want to make the motion?
I'd like to make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, roll call vote.
Director Schultz?
Yes.
Director Cabrera?
Yes.
Director Alvarez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Calcote?
Yes.
Chair Member Sisena?
Yes, motion carried. Do we have any oral staff reports? Yes, we don't. Oral council reports? No. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn to our next regular meeting of Tuesday, February 23rd, 1999, at 8 p.m. here at the council chambers.
Second it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carried, meeting adjourned.
Have a good trip.